What you're about to discover my strength, how you see one of Nigeria's most influential yet humble evangelists who has touched lives across 6 continents without the flashy lifestyle you'd expect. Picture this. A young man so rejected and despised that he wandered the streets of Kogi State with nowhere to call home, no money in his pocket, and no one who believed in his future. Fast forward 70 years, and that same man has preached the gospel on every continent on earth. This isn't just another rags to riches story. This is the biography of Reverend Isaac Omolehin, a man who went from complete rejection to global recognition, but chose a path so different from what we would expect that it challenges everything we think we know about success, purpose, and what it really means to impact the world. His story will inspire you, surprise you, and maybe even convict you about what really matters in life. This is RNN TV. I am Esther Alateju. Let's journey back to February 24, 1951, in the small community of Iluke town located in Kaba, Bunu, local government area of Kogi State. This is where Reverend Isaac Omolehin entered a world that would test every ounce of his character before he even understood what character meant. Now, here is something interesting about his family background. His father was actually a known and reputable man in their community. You think that would mean stability, education, opportunities. But here's where Isaac's story takes an unexpected turn. Despite his father's reputation, there was no investment in his children's education, no priority given to their future. Young Reverend Isaac found himself in a position that many Nigerian children unfortunately know too well. Born into a family with status but without the practical support needed to build a future. But his situation was even more challenging than most. He became what he would later describe as a wanderer, destitute and despised. Picture a young boy moving from place to place, facing rejection at every turn, sleeping wherever he could find shelter, eating whenever food was available. But here is what is remarkable about those early years of hardship. Instead of becoming bitter or giving up, something was being forged in Isaac's character. Every rejection was teaching him to value acceptance. Every moment of hunger was teaching him to appreciate provision. Every night without shelter was preparing him to become shelter for others. Despite these overwhelming challenges, Reverend Isaac Omolehin made a decision that would change the trajectory of his entire life. He was going to get an education, no matter what it cost him. This wasn't easy. Remember, this is a young man with no financial support, no family backing, no connections to open doors, but determination as a way of creating opportunities where none seemed to exist. Reverend Isaac worked his way through school, taking on any job that would pay for his education. He was focused, disciplined, and driven by a vision of a better future, not just for himself, but for the purpose he was beginning to sense was calling him. His academic journey eventually led him to Rivers State University, which was then known as Rivers State University of Science and Technology, one of Nigeria's most respected institutions. And here's where his story takes another interesting turn. Reverend Isaac chose to study animal science. Now, you might wonder, why animal science? For a young man from a rural background, this was actually a practical choice. Animal science offered real job opportunities, stable income, and respect in society. But while Isaac was learning about animals, God was preparing him to shepherd souls. During his university years, the call to ministry became undeniable. Imagine the internal struggle. Here was a young man who had fought so hard to get an education, who was on track for a stable, respectable career in animal science, and suddenly is feeling called to leave all of that behind for ministry. In Nigerian society, especially during that era, leaving a promising career for full-time ministry wasn't exactly celebrated. Family, friends, even well-meaning mentors would have questioned his decision. But Reverend Isaac understood something profound. Your greatest qualification for God's work isn't just your degree or your background or your family connections. It's your heart for the lost and broken, your willingness to serve, and your commitment to the calling. This wasn't just a career change. This was a complete life transformation, from studying the behavior of animals to understanding the hearts of people, from preparing to manage livestock to preparing to shepherd human souls. Isaac Omolehin established his ministry base in Ilorin, Kwara State, where he founded the World Commission International and the World Assembly Churches. But from the very beginning, his approach was different from what was becoming popular in Nigerian Christianity. While many ministries in the 1980s and 1990s were embracing the prosperity message, promising material wealth, luxury cars, and financial breakthrough, Isaac took a different path. He was openly critical of what he called whirlwind preaching for prosperity, believing that this focus on material gain was actually compounding problems in Nigerian society rather than solving them. Think about this. Here was a man who knew poverty intimately, who had experienced lack firsthand, who could have easily built a ministry around promising people financial breakthrough. But instead, he chose to focus on authentic spiritual transformation. His ministry became known for notable and creative miracles, yes, but more than that, it was characterized by genuine life change, deep discipleship, and a commitment to addressing the whole person, spirit, soul, and body. This philosophy wasn't just theoretical. Isaac lived it out in practical ways, focusing on community development, education, and long-term spiritual growth rather than quick fixes and instant gratification. From those humble beginnings in Ilorin, Reverend Isaac Omolehin's influence began to expand in ways that surprised everyone, including himself. His evangelical mission took the gospel to all 6 continents of the world. Think about that for a moment. A man who once wandered the streets of Kogi State with no home, no money, and no prospects eventually became a voice of hope and transformation in countries across Africa, Asia, Europe, North America, South America, and Australia. But here's what makes his global impact even more remarkable. He never forgot his roots. Even as his ministry reached international recognition, he remained grounded in the values and experiences that shaped him during those difficult early years. His personal life reflects the authenticity of his ministry message. Together with his wife, they raised 4 children who did not just inherit their father's ministry title, they inherited his heart for service. All 4 of his children became pastors and missionaries, serving in different nations around the world. This wasn't coincidence. This was the result of a father who demonstrated through his life that true success isn't measured by what you accumulate, but by what you give away. His children saw their father choose service over self, sacrifice over comfort, and global impact over local recognition. They saw him live out his values consistently, whether he was preaching to thousands or having a quiet conversation at home. Today, at over 70 years old, Reverend Isaac Omolehin remains active as one of Nigeria's most seasoned evangelists and a father in the faith to countless ministers around the world. He continues to lead World Assembly Ministries out of a garage in Ilorin, Kwara State, still preaching with the same passion that marks his early years. Reverend Isaac Omolehin's journey from despised wanderer to global evangelist proves something powerful. Your beginning doesn't determine your ending. Your circumstances doesn't define your potential. Your setbacks don't limit your comeback. But here's a deeper lesson from his life. True success isn't about escaping your past, it's about transforming it into a platform for serving others. Isaac could have used the success to distance himself from his difficult beginnings. Instead, he used those experiences to connect with and serve people facing similar struggles. So here's my question for you. What aspects of Reverend Omolehin's story challenges your own perspective on success? Are you using your struggles as excuses? Or are you allowing them to develop the character you will need for your destiny? And here is an even deeper question. If someone who faced such early rejection could impact 6 continents while maintaining his values and raising a family committed to service, what excuses are you making that his story completely destroys? If this biography inspired you or challenged your thinking, like this video, subscribe to RNN TV for more inspiring stories of remarkable Nigerians, and share this with someone who needs to hear that their current struggles might be preparing them for global impact. Remember, every great story of transformation begins with someone who refused to let their circumstances define their destiny. Reverend Isaac Omolehin's life is proof that with faith, persistence, and the right values, any Nigerian from any background can change the world. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Which part of this journey resonates most with your own story?